Hello everyone. Today I'm here with yet another topic to discuss, particularly the relationship. Environment. At times it is very inspiring, at times it is very disturbing, right? At times it enhances the relationship, at times it destroys the relationship. So today we are here to talk about a particular case study where how the environment is influencing the relationship in a negative way, right? How the environment creates a rift and finally a split in the relationship. Okay, so here we are with a particular topic, environment and its impact in relationships. It is psychologically proven that environment has its influence in any person's behavior, right? So there is a particular girl called Catherine. She is very worried, very anxious. Sophie, her sister, was getting curious because Catherine is somebody who's very jovial, very fun loving, and easy go getter, a very jovial person. So Sophie is worried why Catherine is very serious and very anxious. Let's look at what happened. Catherine is married to a person called David, who's an entrepreneur, a very ambitious entrepreneur. And well, it was the ideal couple as defined by everyone. When I say the ideal couple, right? They never used to give up on each other. They used to support each other, stand by each other, and whatnot. This is how the relationship was in the initial years or so. And but Catherine was working in a leading company. Her parents are entrepreneurs, and they have huge amounts of property or huge amounts of money, right? And David is a budding entrepreneur. He wants to establish his footprint, and he's in an expansion spree. Okay, so this is how the family background is. So, like comparatively, financial compatibility, if I see, Catherine is a lot higher in terms of the net assets and net asset value, right? Whereas David is not a person who has huge amounts of money with him. Okay, so this is how the entire relationship goes, the background of the couples, right? So after a few years of honeymoon and getting along with each other, the couples are blessed with a baby girl, right? David, on the other hand, was in his expansion spree in his business. He wants to establish his footprint in every district, and he's been going hammer and tongs, and his business was flabbergasting at that point of time. So after the birth of the girl child, after a few months or so, David didn't do well in his business, right, due to various reasons, various factors. Like in this present day world, if you see any entrepreneur is terribly suffering because of external reasons. Likewise, David's business also took a beating due to the external environment and the external factors. So, um, David wanted to expand, but somehow things are not going as per his plans. So he needed more money. He needed to infuse more capital in his business. Okay, so he tries his best. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the desired money that he wanted. Right. So David then requests Catherine if she can ask her parents for support, financial support, since they are from a very rich and affluent family. Um, well, Catherine goes. She speaks to her parents, but the results are negative. And what has happened is there's a lot of war of words that happens between David and Catherine, right? So In that process, there's a lot of exchange of words, which is not a very encouraging one. Rather, the exchange of words is very hurting and very personal, right? I mean, the words are such that it impacts the self-esteem of the other person. Remember this: in any relationship, the first area where the couples are going to have a problem is in the area of the choice of language. Somewhere, the perception that Catherine created was, I'm not with you. Okay? I'm not with you. It's your problem. You deal your problems yourself. Okay? So, David wanted to, he does his best. Unfortunately, he couldn't succeed in pursuing Catherine's parents. And well, they also use certain languages which is not very encouraging, or rather, it was very demeaning David. Okay, now David was waiting for an opportunity to take revenge, and he knows where he hits would pain Catherine's parents. So he started slowly having an affair with another girl, and he knows that this is an area which will hurt Catherine's parents. David slowly started neglecting Catherine and his own daughter, not realizing that she is also a girl child and tomorrow she may also face a similar problem. God forbid it shouldn't happen, but you know. So this went on and on and on for a couple of days, months, years. This went on, and Catherine was remaining very patient, hoping that tomorrow it would be a good day, things will be all right, and so on. And she started speaking to her relations, both sides, both her uh, parent side as well as David's side, hoping that they could bring about an approachment so that she could lead a happy married life. Unfortunately, they were wanting to show that they are mighty rather than standing by the couples and saying, "Look, I am there. This will get resolved. Don't worry." That reassurance was missing. Instead, they wanted to show off that we are great and we are like this and so on. At whose cost? Yeah. So this is how the whole thing went on. David slowly he understood Catherine's plight. So he started applying more pressure tactics. He started humiliating her, abusing her, and at times even physical abuse. So Catherine was hopeful, but day by day she was losing that hope. Over a period of time, David decided, okay, Catherine should not be there at his place, and he wanted to, since Catherine's parents didn't respond the way he wanted it, he wanted to use one more ammunition of his. He sent Catherine back to her parents' place, hoping that they will come for a discussion. Or he could, talk to them, tell them, they were wrong and he was right and so on. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Days, weeks, months passed by. Catherine was waiting that David would come to pick her up from her parents' place. That didn't happen. Instead, David gifted her with a beautiful legal notice asking for separation. And that was a huge shock for Catherine. No wonder her face was very anxious and she did not know what to do. As I said initially, Catherine was completely worried and she was very anxious. This is the reason. And as I was saying, David was least bothered. He was dating another girl and he was leading his life in a normal way. And the worst part was David's parents, instead of taking a stand, started supporting David in order to teach Catherine's parents a lesson. So the whole problem is not Catherine here. It is Catherine's parents' attitude. Underline this word. Right? It was Catherine's parents' attitude, Catherine's parents' property, assets that mattered more than the love, the bonding, and support and respect for each other. So, I mean, as the saying goes, like in order to punish somebody, you are punishing somebody else, hoping that the other person will feel the pain. Okay? So, this went on. David had no remorse about his behavior or about his actions. He could have at least shown some sympathy for his daughter. After all, it was his legitimate daughter. But he didn't. Right? He didn't. When her parents, I mean, Catherine's parents, I'm referring here to, when they came back, they were out somewhere else, doesn't matter where they were. So when they came back, Catherine showed, look, David had sent a legal notice asking for separation. At least now I want you to interfere in this particular issue and ensure that I get back. But her parents thought other way. What they did is something unimaginable. They called a lawyer to give a counter to the complaint that to the allegations that David made in the notice. So they were least bothered. They said, I will not budge. This is what I am. Now, who's the sufferer? Obviously, it was Catherine and her daughter. And for her, she did a mistake. The only mistake that Catherine did is she did not stand by David when it mattered most. And only on that particular situation, because she felt her parents needs to be supported. But that is costing her the relationship. Okay? That is costing her the relationship. Catherine now realizes that she's being made a pawn in the relationship. But the realization came very, very late. Now, I have a few questions for you. Right? Have you ever come across somebody like Catherine? Or have you gone through any such situations in life which is quite challenging? Or beyond this particular challenge or situation that I shared with you all? Who is at fault, whether Catherine or David? What both of them could have done to have avoided this embarrassment? How could they have done or to deal with the situation in a different way? Was Catherine wrong? She used to stand by David, but except for that one particular situation where she felt she has to be with her parents.